Hi, this is Lindsay Wilson, and I'm so excited to talk to you about sales conversations. I know it is actually not fun for many of you who sell a lot, interestingly. And we are able to sell so much through on the phone sales conversations these days that there's no reason why you can't walk through it really gracefully and easily. So I thought I would share with you some of my very best secrets. Recently, one of my clients said to me, you know what? I want to come to California, I want to spend a week with you, and let's do sales calls together, which is an amazing opportunity for both her and I. Because when we both thought about what the goal should be individually, $1 million is what she's planning to sell in a week. So, if you can understand the potency of a phone and sales conversations, then it makes a lot of sense to think about the things we're going to share next. So first off, what you want to think about most, the thing that actually in my 25 years in sales I seem to notice the most that's missing in sales, is people are not truly connected and bonded. And I learned how to sell in my 20s when like $3 for a thing of peanut butter was more than I could almost spend. And I was fully on commission sales. And I was horrible, may I tell you. Like, I would tell people, don't buy this. Like, I worked at Macy's Herald Square, and we sold moisturizer, and people would bring their crumpled little magazine papers and be like, I want this, and I'd be like, it will give you blemishes, go buy something else. So I was really bad. I would turn people away. I was certain it was from a sense of integrity and honesty. And what I will tell you is that if you're selling something that really has huge value, which I know that it does for you, then you owe it to yourself to learn to be able to receive for what you're giving. And if sales conversations are catching you off guard, not well planned, don't have a strategy, then here we go. So the first thing that you want to do is bond. If you can be heart to heart with someone, if you can really stand in a place of knowing that what you have to offer will serve them. If it does serve them. I mean, if it doesn't serve them, don't sell them. I don't even know how to do that, quite frankly. Like, $50 million have gone through my hands in my sales career. My average transaction is $25,000 right now, and there are more people who approach me to buy from me than I sell to. Because I don't make the offer unless I know in my heart that I can get someone results. So, we're going to assume that you're talking to somebody who you know that you can help. Then what you really have to do, rather than letting your own personal stuff get in the way, is stand in a place of knowing that what you have to offer will truly serve them, and allowing them, after you bond with them, to really see, quite frankly, what will happen for them if they don't work with you. It's almost like an intervention. Did you ever watch that show on A&E? You know, it's like all the family members come in and the crack addict thinks that they don't have a problem, and someone's like, you know, you missed your child's birth, right? And then the crack addict is sort of like, oh goodness. So you need to intervene, you need to tell them the truth, and I will tell you that that actually is a huge relief for most people. So be honest, be loving, be in your brand. Also, people use loving as the main word for me and my brand, so I use that as an example, but you know, you could be like tough, or you can be funny, or whatever your brand is. So be that, be you, because they are, in buying your stuff, partially buying you, and that's a way to really, really connect with them, and also ensure that you're going to have someone that long term you're going to like working with, and they're going to like working with you, right? But I think the biggest problem, the biggest difficulty that people have, quite frankly, is this. We get to the part about the money and we freak out, right? If we were driving a car, it's like we put the pedal to the metal, we push, we numb out, our voice goes high, our stance goes back, we're not there. This like warm, loving, or funny, or mean, like whatever you are during your sales call person has just disappeared. And I will tell you, first off, the thing that happens when we get to the part where we talk about money and that sort of thing is that it triggers people. It not only triggers you with your stuff, but who of us likes to be sold to, right? We think of used car salespeople. I know that like when I went to go buy a mattress with my husband, I was like, okay, I'm putting on my like protective shield so like I can't be taken advantage of, right? So if you've got you on one side who's feeling nervous and anxious about closing or money or your own personal worth, and you've got somebody on the other side who's afraid of being taken advantage of or slimed or manipulated or whatever is going on there, then there's not a state of grace. There's not much room to move through for the two of you to be able to connect, right? If it were dating and that were the moment, and sometimes it is, laden with that much heavy stuff, quite frankly. So let me not use dating as an example. But if it were a normal day in your life, if you were trying to convince your best friend that they needed to get help with something, you wouldn't put the pedal to the metal, but you also wouldn't take your foot off the gas. You would be honest and truthful. And that is the moment when people talk about conversion, right? So if Jesus were a salesperson, right? Whatever your views on Jesus are, that would be the conversion moment. So are you coming to Jesus or not? And so when you do a sales call, when you're in that moment, it's the most important moment. And I'll give you a couple of tips. So if you're uncomfortable with talking about price, if you're uncomfortable thinking that you need to talk a lot about the 98 MP3s, if you're uncomfortable, period, here are some choices that you can make, okay? So you could first, if you'd like, rather than selling them, let them sell you. Feel free to ask them why they think they would be a fit. Feel free to not offer what you have for sale, right? I, on sales calls, quite frankly, very often get to the point where I've said everything I have to say, and I've determined whether someone's a good match or not. And I let them say, so can you tell me about what you have to offer, instead of me. It changes the dynamic completely, right? And quite frankly, what's getting triggered when we're in that moment, when we're scared and they're in that moment where they're scared, is they feel very young, right? And you actually can't talk to someone who feels like a 3-year-old about getting out a credit card. So you really need them to stay in their adult, right? So if you allow them to ask an adult question, like how much is it? What are my options? It's very different than if they're feeling afraid of you. So that's one genius thing. So if we think about sales conversions in that way, if we think about it as a moment where you're really bonded with someone, if you're helping your very best friend, right? And if you allow them to ask you what you have to offer. And then bonus tip, if you say it in 3 sentences that you practice in your bathroom so it just drops out of your mouth and it's easy, you'll sell. No doubt that my client will make $1 million in the week we're together. Quite frankly, when we break it down, a week together will take maybe 70 phone calls in a week. If that's all you're doing, we're going to hang out at the beach. We're going to have some yummy food. We're going to laugh. It's not going to be so bad, right? And I know that statistically there will be a bunch of people who won't be a match for her. She knows too. It's no secret, right? There are a lot of people who weren't the person you were supposed to marry. There are a lot of people who aren't your clients. And there are a lot of people that are. And there's a lot of room for error in there also, quite frankly, she could probably do 35 calls and sell it all. But if it takes a little while to get to the place where she feels comfortable with that, if it takes a little while to get to the place, because you gotta have mojo, you gotta be practicing, right? If you're never up at bat, it's gonna be really hard when you have to swing. And if we do some other smart things, like some Facebook ads, she'll have plenty of people to talk to that week, so it'll work. So I will tell you more in our next time together about Facebook ads and a really simple technique that you can use that will get you loads of leads. We've seen an ROI. My husband figured this out once for me. I don't know, I spent $7 and made $50,000 on an ad, right? So it was like an ROI of 683% or something like that. So I'll show you how to do that in our next video together. clothe some people. There are people out there who need you. Don't let your fear stop you.